Hello and welcome to another edition of the Dugout. It's the day after the end of the ODI series, which India have won handsomely. Believe it or not, it was a decider, and there is going to be, with just a day's gap, a T20 series starting. So our focus is going to be on both because both of them are related, and that's what we'll try and do in the Dugout. Before we get into the thick of the action, subject matter of the day, which you can see in our title right below. Before that, I just thought I'll go across the room and ask, the one, which was that one word that was spoken the most during the ODI series. If I had to ask you one. Experimentation. That's correct. The most used word during the ODI series, experimentation. Now the series is done. We have the benefit of the hindsight. We can look back because different opinions were made while the experimentation was happening. And there was nothing which is right or wrong. People look at things differently, and that's why different opinions came about. But now that the series is over, what does everyone make of the experimentation? Was it, now in hindsight, good, bad, not needed, was needed?
I think definitely it was needed, considering the fact that you're approaching the World Cup. If two middle order batsmen.
First, give us your thing. Did you have a problem with the experimentations earlier?
Yes, I did.
Do you have a problem now?
Not really.
Okay.
Because it's a bit of a change of heart. Because again, you also understand the situation. I think when we were speaking before the second ODI, that was again foresight speaking, where we said, why are they making these crazy changes? Because you understand like for like experimentation, but this was anything but like for like. You had Akshar at 4, Sanju at 5 is still fine.
Sky at 3.
Sky at 3 I still understand, but fine. But yeah, it was a case of you were playing around with positions. Then you found out that okay, you needed to make these experimentations because you weren't sure of the fitness of a Shreyas Iyer or KL Rahul. Either one or potentially even both of them in an absolute worst case. In which case it makes sense you need to be giving these guys game time. If you were sure, if they were playing this series, I think you would have been seeing none of that experimentation also.
Okay, so exhibit number 1 is Shane Dyas. He had an issue with experimentation initially, but now is a convert. He says he's okay. Your stand before the series or while the series, you had issues with experimentation?
No.
You were fine with it earlier?
I was fine with it earlier, but there's a catch.
Now you switched. Now you're not fine.
No. I'm still okay with it.
Okay.
It's just kind of weird what players are being experimented. That's what the catch is. Because why are we playing a Ruturaj Gaikwad who we know is going to be who is going to be captaining in the Asian Games? Like, I don't understand that. But also, like, this is...
Let me make it simpler. So I agree with her that certain experimentations you had a problem with. But let's look at the larger picture, because that word experimentation was primarily used for Rohit Sharma, Virat.
Yes.
So if I was to look at that, while it was happening, did you have a problem with that experimentation of them resting?
No.
And now that the series is over, do you have a problem?
No.
So
because
you were a believer
needed.
And you remain a believer.
Yes, but
in experimentation.
It was needed. It's just that Virat, quite clearly from what we've seen, all the footages with Ajit Agarkar and all of that, he wasn't told. He was told later. If we had gone, if the management, not me, if the management had gone with a set 20 players that maybe could play the World Cup, and then we'll experiment with those 20 exactly, that would have been a much more straighter and more focused experiment. But this was just experiment.
Okay, that's an interesting thought that she talks about Virat's happiness, and that's one other thing that we want to talk about. We'll get to it, but we're just going across the room. Harshit, your turn.
I remember saying it a week back.
First tell us your
Exactly. So going just a week back, this very show, I was seated there though, but the opinion doesn't change. My seating position could have.
So week back, what was your opinion?
So my opinion was, and back then also I'd said that this West Indies series is no dress rehearsal. Remember the dress rehearsal word we talked about? So yeah, this was no dress rehearsal, so which is why I didn't mind the senior pros being on the sidelines. I didn't mind who batted where.
So you were pro experimentation?
I was pro experimentation.
Before the series?
I will not be pro experimentation in the series to come, which is your Asia Cup, which is your Australian series. No experimentation there. This was a good time, the right time to do the experiments. You've had your footnotes from this series, just keep them in mind and move forward.
So you were pro experimentation before the series, and you're pro experimentation even now, now that the series is over. finally to me, and I mean, again, just like Harshid, my stand also during these shows had been pro-experimentation, simply because I thought, this is a West Indies series, winning it, losing the series wouldn't count for anything. I wanted answers to a few things, and truth be told, we have gotten a few answers. Ishan Kishan is one of them. Sky is also another answer, not in the positive, maybe in the negative, but at least those are the answers that you were looking for. So you've got certain answers. I was pro-experimentation, that is primarily to rest Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, and of course at the end of the series also. I am happy with what has happened, because we've learned a few more things. Before we move into what happens in the T20, and that's a topic of discussion today, because she touched upon Virat's happiness or unhappiness at being told last moment, and that's something that we did point out on Sports Today, that what we're getting to here is that he was told on the day of the second game that they probably would be rested for the next 2 games. Remember, the first ODI he played but never got a chance to bat, so effectively didn't participate in the ODI. Now what happens is he got selected for these ODIs. He's a senior player, and in a way, let's go back in history, okay? If you're a big enough player, you're a senior player, you picked for a series and not played and told last moment, you wouldn't be a happy chappy. You wouldn't be, it'd be natural if you're sulking, you're brooding over, what has happened. It's quite natural. It's human nature. It could have happened to anyone. And if it happened to Virat, I wouldn't have been surprised, because he's human after all. However, having said that, despite that animated conversation, what I absolutely loved was Virat Kohli's attitude following that. So now here's a guy who's a senior member, who has been asked to stay back in the West Indies, where he must have thought that I'm playing, because if you really didn't want him to play, want to rest him, you could have sent him back after the test, but you kept him back. Last moment told him he's not going to play. You of course explain what the reasons are, but I like the attitude. He was the water boy in the second ODI that he wasn't playing. He didn't have to be, but he just wanted to participate. Third game, he came on as a substitute fielder as well in that game. He was happy enough being substitute fielder. At the end of the series, when the trophy presentation is happening, of course the entire team comes, and so Virat would have come. But I could generally see his joy and happiness. Now remember, this is a guy who hasn't contributed anything in this series. But he was fully excited, just as he would celebrate any series win. And I think it's quite positive. I think it's refreshing. It tells you his mindset. It tells you where he is right now, where once he's understood what the idea was behind him being rested, and it's only for the good of the team, because whatever said and done, Virat, if you ask him what is that one thing he would want, he'd want to win. He's won a World Cup, but he'd want to win the next World Cup. It's been a long time India hasn't won an ICC Cup. He'd want to win that. And if he thought that the experiments that were being done here were actually leading to you getting players that are going to be helping you win that World Cup, I don't think he's going to have a problem. So love his attitude in general.
Great sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Team spirit more than anything.
Team spirit.
Before yourself. Because again, he's made what actually, as we said, no contributions.
No.
Played one game.
He made a contribution.
Which was?
Hydrating the boys.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's a very important job.
Motivating the captain in the third ODI.
Actually, that's incorrect to say. Good point. His biggest contribution is, despite not having played a single ball and got a run, his biggest contribution this series has been to have motivated Hardik Pandya and shown him the way to get back into form.
Yes.
I think that is. Generally speaking, I think we were discussing it yesterday, that he's the sort of guy, when I'm talking about things he was doing, he's the sort of guy who probably can't sit quiet. Like even if he's not playing, there's no chance he would be sitting in the dressing room.
He's got that current going through his body. It's a good current to have, let's say, It is very contagious as well, the kind of energy that the guy possesses. And it was probably just that very reason we were like, little opportunity, I want to take to the field.
He was like, Pani leke jana. You want a substitute fielder? I'm sure he just can't sit. He'd rather be doing something.
And especially not when you're that close to the action. Like you're there. You're right, there's one thing if he's, on a rest. It's a different matter. Then you can kick back and relax.
You know why I'll tell you, because also I've seen a lot of cricket and covered a lot of cricket of the generation where, you know, a senior player would never go on as a substitute fielder.
Yeah.
A senior player would never go carry
Water.
Majority, I'm not saying
Yes.
majority, because it's not that they didn't want to, it was just the culture as such, right? Also, you know, there was a time where if you became a senior player, you wouldn't even do like, going back into the 80s, and even, they wouldn't even run rounds, you know, they wouldn't do any sort of, they wouldn't do any, they'll come to the nets and do batting and bowling, but that's all. Barely see them do a lot of fielding drills or running around or, you know, general work on fitness, because you said, oh, now I'm a star batsman. You know, famously, I mean, I'm taking names now, but it's well documented, like Dilip Vengsarkar, Sandeep Patel, you know, they were like stalwart, but seldom go and do any running around.
Yeah.
Maybe like do some batting in the nets, it's done. Not when they must have been youngsters, but obviously when they...
Senior pro.
Yeah, when they became senior pro. And so that's the kind of culture that it continues, not in Indian cricket, I'm saying subcontinental cricket. This is something that you see very often. So it's a very refreshing change to see Virat the way he is, you know, like bouncy all the time.
Yeah. I mean, this is pure speculation, but do you think that there is a reason why Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli were rested but not sent back? Is that so, you know, so the youngsters could have someone to look up to in the dressing room or something like that? Maybe they wanted to have a positive influence in there.
Injuries and all in mind as well. What if you know, halfway through the series, you know, so certain players aren't available, then you don't just want to be recalling the player you just sent back. You know, it just doesn't make sense logistically.
Yeah, logistically, his frequent flyer miles would go up, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Frequent flyer. Don't think they really care about it.
Of course, just saying.
Yeah, or maybe a situation, but I don't think they did it because, you know, serious situation would be the one thing that you said, no, if need be, we'll go to them. But I like the fact that India said, you know, it was a decider, there would have been a lot of pressure. I, for one, said I don't care about the series result, whether India wins or loses, so long as they're doing what is needed for the World Cup. How does it matter whether they win or lose? But I know that not a lot of people would have been that kind to them had they lost the series.
Yes.
Knives would have been out, there would have been brickbats flying all around, and there would have been heavy criticism of this team. It would have only added to the pressure.
True.
And I think the team knew it, and I think Hardik mentions it in the post-match press conference. That yes, we knew there was a lot of pressure, but we liked that pressure, and we like to perform under that sort of pressure. So all in all, I think it was it's a good move that they stuck to their guns.
Yeah.
Like Basball said, we will continue playing Basball. They have said. By the way, Basball reminds me, there has been a lot of talk about Basball. I think we should do a video on that. Stokes said first that
India.
I know he was asked, can you play Basball in India? He said, he gave a very sarcastic reply. He said, we couldn't do it against New Zealand, we can't do it against Australia. It was sarcastic because we couldn't do it against South Africa. Who knows what we can do against India? So it was a tongue-in-cheek sort of a response that he had. But now a couple of people have weighed in on it. Harbhajan Singh has come out and said that it wouldn't be possible for them to play Basball in Indian spin-friendly conditions. Ravichandran Ashwin's done a video where he's actually come out and said that, you know, you're saying, you know, Basball and teams need to play Basball and India should play Basball because a lot of it. He said, will you guys allow us to play like that? He said, because in England, even when they, you know, because this is a high risk sort of an approach, to fail also. So when they were failing, they didn't get that sort of criticism. Their selectors didn't criticize players for playing like that. Their fans did not criticize their team. They said, no, this is a high risk approach. We'll win some, lose some, but we'll back. This is India, now this will happen. People who are supposed to select us may not back us if we play that sort of cricket. Fans will not forgive us.
Burning posters.
This would happen. And he's right, I guess. So
it's a good point there, actually, because when he talks about
when does he never make a good point?
No, in this case, an especially good point. But yeah, I think in India, the culture would be very...
What? Stars that Siddharth's not here.
What would you have said?
That when does he... Ashwin, he always makes good points. He's the best thinker of the game.
He's the best thinker in sliced bread. Best thinker is too little. Best things in sliced bread. But no, actually that's the thing. That's one thing you have to give. I think I also noticed a lot of the coverage.
I remember this, you know, reference of best things in sliced bread. It's often used. But it's totally incorrect because sliced bread by itself isn't a good thing. Bread isn't a good thing.
Processed.
Yeah, because
Bread is yummy. Like, of course, if you have the.
it is yummy. I agree. It is.
Why is it not?
But it's unhealthy because every sort of bread that you eat is made out of flour. Even brown bread. Even multigrain.
No, but you can make it at home.
Oh yeah, that if you can truly make brown bread. But then that bread is not very tasty, by the way.
It is.
It's tasty, no, but it's not edible.
Edible, yes, because it's so.
It's very
hard.
chalky.
It's not easy to bake that either.
Yes.
If you
No,
make
I've
it
done
without
it.
flour.
Yes.
I've done it.
Without adding any flour in it.
You would have
No.
added maida.
Not maida. Only atta.
No chance.
Bring this
Come
bread
on.
and we'll judge.
Sure.
We will be the judge of that.
I'll make a banana bread.
No, not banana.
Acha, okay, normal bread.
Normal.
bread without any flour.
ठीक है.
That's not edible. I agree with it.
I'm a guinea pig at home. My younger brother is a chef, so I've run through these experiments, and I can tell you with conviction.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
not
that. Otherwise, a lot of companies would do it. They can't
Yeah.
do it. So this brown bread that you get is basically colored.
It's
bread.
mixed. It's mixed.
Yeah, they put a
it's
little bit
mixed.
of wheat, but its primary thing is still flour.
But then there's also like the 100% atta bread.
There is nothing.
There's nothing
I know.
called 100%.
That's a joke.
That's all jokes. But anyway, with Ashwin, and then coming back to the point I was trying to make is that, yeah, England's media were very, very supportive of their players, even when that baseball approach had them 2-0 down.
Yeah.
The media was very supportive. The fans didn't turn against them. Certainly, at least on social media, which, to be fair, nowadays is an important metric. It was very pro. They said, no, we're okay playing this way, and we know it's a high risk approach. With England, also, you have to remember it's a second time process for them. Their white ball team went through the exact same thing with Owen Morgan. He said, no, we'll play high risk and it's high reward. We will fail. And there were times where they blew up easy chases whilst trying to play aggressively, but made them 2-time world champions. I don't think they're going to complain.
Now to the topic at hand.
I was about to just...
Topic at hand. The topic we're asking that the T20I series starts tomorrow. Meanwhile, Pawan, be kind enough to have the India T20 squad, please. So the series starts tomorrow, just a day's gap, but it's at the same venue, so not too much of travel or anything. Team will be ready to play a T20 game. But the question we're asking that will the performances in this T20I series have a bearing on ODI selection going forward? Okay. There are a few names I'll throw who are going to be playing the T20I series and who will also just open Google. There are players who are going to be playing this T20I series who are in contention for a ODI World Cup squad as well. Right? So let's start with everyone that there is. There is Ishan Kishan and Shubman Gill.
Yeah.
I don't think would their performance have any bearing on their ODI thing.
See, with Shubman, definitely not. I think
Even
he's a sure shot.
No, I don't
Same
think
with
so.
Ishan.
No.
Even if Ishan doesn't get runs, let's say, because now he's pretty much made himself the front runner. We discussed this yesterday. Pretty much the front runner to be part of the 11 if KL Rahul is not fit. Then I think Ishan Kishan.
No, that's the playing 11.
Just Google India squad for T20.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So with Ishan, he's pretty much made that squad.
Yeah.
Even if he has a few failures in T20, I doubt that will affect his chance.
Especially when you consider the fact that in T20s he'll be playing in his preferred position as an opener anyway.
Okay, but the twist in this is, and we're going to look at each of those players. Shubman, as we all agree, nothing.
No.
Nothing takes him higher or brings him lower.
Same, I think Ishan is now...
No, I've got a rider with that. Forget Ishan's performance. What if Sanju Samson
Exactly.
has an outstanding T20 series and Ishan does not? He's had a great ODI series, man of the series.
Yes.
Yes, man of the series. So, and let's say Sanju has an outstanding T20I series. Does that pecking order then change? Or you say no, ODI is ODI, T20 is different format, let's not confuse.
It might. Because again, remember, yesterday what was it we were saying about Sanju? His knock, whilst not blowing the door down, ensured that his foot was kind of there jamming it.
Okay.
Runs are runs, as we keep saying. He gets, say, 350s in 5 matches or 250s in 100. The clamour grows.
He goes ahead.
He doesn't go ahead. I'm just saying.
Let's say Ishan, for his sake, I hope he has a great series. That's assuming worst case scenario, doesn't have a great series.
Or Sanju has a greater series.
Sanju has an outstanding one. What do you do then?
Then I think
Asia Cup.
I think Asia Cup.
Who's making your 11? Assuming KL is not available.
I would still go with Ishan.
I think Ishan.
I'll tell you why also.
Yeah.
Because
You're saying it now because this ODI series is happening.
No.
Your mood might just as it your experimentation.
No, I'll tell you why.
Change.
I'll tell you why. There's a very simple reason. Because right now it's very keen. They want a left-hander in the middle order. So for Asia Cup, go with that. If let's say that he doesn't do well in the Asia Cup, Sanju's already a proven middle order bat anyway. You can slot him in there later on. In a worst case, absolute worst case.
No, I think Ishan's keeping his spot. And Sanju will get
Despite
ignored.
the scenario that he doesn't have a good
No.
T20 and Sanju has an outstanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sanju
Because you're not mixing format.
Yes. No, but also because the Indian management seems really set on Ishan Kishan is what I think. Because they've been, sticking with him for a lot of times, and also Rahul Dravid has been, the way that he's speaking in these post-match pressers, he's saying that, Ishan is doing well in keeping his kept well in the test series as well. So maybe, they're really impressed with him or they want to stick with him because he is a left-hander as well, of course. So I think, Sanju gets ignored like he always does.
Just to add on to that, the fact that they started with Ishan also kind of
is an indication.
Some sort of indication that he was anyway their go-to guy.
Yeah.
And he was going to be the one getting the long rope, similar to say what a Surya did. Surya unfortunately didn't make the most of those for ODIs, but Ishan, to be his credit, has gotten run. So what's the?
I pretty much agree with both my colleagues, and I just the one thing to add over there. I think the fact that they ran out of patience with Shrikar Bharat way too soon, handed that test debut to Ishan Kishan. Then of course he got that maiden test 50 with all the support and all the backing that he was getting from the management. He gets you runs in the ODI series. All of that put together, plus the fact that it also tells me that Ishan Kishan, not just because they want a left-hander in the scheme of things right now, I think sidelining Shrikar Bharat, and I'll take you back then because I think that was a message that Ishan Kishan is your plan for the future. So keeping in mind the longer run, Ishan Kishan is going to be the guy and not Sanju Samson. So
despite, again, I repeat.
Yes.
Okay.
So which is why I think he has greater mileage over Sanju
But you know what, that will happen, and I kind of agree with all of you. I think that doesn't matter what happens in this T20I series, and you will realize as we keep going in the discussion, it's not going to be a standard approach for all players. So the topic that we're discussing, will T20I results make any sort of changes to your ODI squad? You will see with some players it might, with some players it might not. So I agree, maybe because of how the ODI series that Ishan has had, and because he was anyway the front runner, I think he is going to continue. The only thing that will lead to, and I'm telling you this now, because we're sitting at a time where Ishan's had a great series, Sanju not so, that if you're sitting after 5 matches and Sanju is like, oof, set the stage on fire, had an outstanding series, and Ishan not so, we don't know how we'd be thinking at the time. I agree, different formats, we don't know how we'd be thinking at the time. But if in case this is how it pans out and Sanju is still not considered, then I won't be surprised if social media is a buzz, because he does have a massive fan following.
I still remember, I think it was last year Ireland when Hardik was there at the toss. The moment he announced Sanju's name in Ireland, there's loud shouts coming from the sidelines. That's the charisma of the guy, even when he's been out of the side more often than be in the 11.
Okay, next name that is going to be coming up.
Surya Kumar.
Surya Kumar, yeah.
Could potentially, this could be a key series for him. Because with ODIs right now, as things stand, he's dangerously close to not making the 15. But have another good series here, you might change minds.
But then,
he's already someone who's favoured by management.
But then people will say that if he does well in T20, that what is new? We knew that he does really well in T20. The problem is ODIs.
That's the issue. Is that he's always been phenomenal in T20s, not been able to translate that.
Yet you think if he has a good T20 series, he will be in consideration?
Yes, especially if Shreyas Iyer's fitness remains problematic, then you'd have no choice.
Yeah, similar views because he's always been in the scheme of things ever since he had that one season, phenomenal batting, and I think India is looking for that kind of the batting that Surya Kumar Yadav does, which is just completely exceptional and no one else can do it, so unique, and it just puts the opposition in so much pressure. I think that's what India is looking for, and at this moment I think Surya Kumar Yadav is in the scheme of things and everyone's just hoping and praying for him to come back to form.
You're not going to win too many fans on social media because they're all baying for his blood.
They've given some kind of nicknames also.
You're supporting him and say
against the Sanju Samson.
It's okay.
the stats will come out. What
No,
has he done
but
in so many ODIs?
That's
We showed
true.
this.
That's true. That is a concern, right?
But you still think?
But I think I'm speaking from the Indian management's perspective.
Acha, not what she wants.
Yeah.
Management perspective.
Anji,
I don't think it changes anything. Runs, no runs, because
he's
again,
out.
I would say he just sort of remains in the landscape if he gets you runs here, but I don't think it will be looked at with a lot of certainty or with great intent, because scoring runs will be no surprise in this particular format. Whatever had to be done, I think, is done.
So you think it's finished?
It's finished. I think
It's over for
what the decision is. No. I'm saying what the decision is. I don't know, but this will have no bearing on the World Cup decision. The T20
What
series.
I'm saying, let's say if let's assume that they still have some thought of including him. If he does not have a great T20 series, Sky, then to it pretty much seals it, right?
Then it sealed the deal.
So
Yeah.
it'll have impact. I'm not only talking about a positive impact. Let's say he doesn't have a good T20 series then
Then
they're pretty much done.
Like I said yesterday, and I think Shane was in agreement that he is somewhere. It's that ship that's just moving away from the landscape. Then that ship would have sailed and no longer in the landscape. He remains in the landscape only if he gets you runs over here. Even if he does, it doesn't boost his chances any further. So it's like a logjam.
He remains adrift, not too near.
Exactly. It's like the immovable object in the middle of the sea now.
I feel that it doesn't matter what he does. His inclusion in the ODI squad is only dependent on Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul. Even if one of them is fit, and I know that he's not a wicketkeeper batsman, but there could be a possibility, I said it earlier, that if Shreyas is not fit and KL is, you will bring him into the team, and if Ishan and Sanju both are having good series, you might find it tough to leave both, whereby you might look at another one as a backup middle order batsman rather than just a backup wicketkeeper.
Yeah.
So I think Sky, the chances they had to give him, the long rope they had to give him is pretty much done. But because the team management believes in him, they'll go to him, provided both KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer are not fit in time for the Asia Cup. Then they go to him for the Asia Cup. Because if one of them is fit, he doesn't make it, they go, it's done, dusted, World Cup done. But if they're not, he goes to the Asia Cup, who knows, gets a game again because people aren't fit. And then scores, comes into contention. Because when I was trying to make to 15, with a Shreyas KL available, it's not impossible to fit Surya Kumar Yadav in the 15. So which is why I think not going to happen.
What if KL Rahul comes back, is fit but isn't performing?
But,
but
know that
only after the Asia Cup then.
Yeah.
We're just looking at the Asia Cup right now.
Okay.
And to answer your question, then he'll get bring from social media like he always does.
Yeah.
But stay in the team.
But he may still be in the team.
But
because again, he has some credit in the bank when it comes to his ODI performance.
He may then miss out on the 11.
But maybe
make the squad.
But make the squad.
Yeah.
He could then be the backup wicketkeeper. And then, unfortunately, as it always happens, Sanju may just move out.
Parachuted out.
And so Kishan then becomes your first choice wicketkeeper batsman, and then KL remains as backup. That I think could be the possibility. So these are essentially the big guys. But let me throw out a few names. Umran Malik, you think, are they still keen on him?
Now with Jasprit Bumrah back.
Shami, you're 100% sure will be.
Yes,
of course.
Yeah.
Siraj,
he's as it is. Shami is a World Cup and important bilaterals player.
No, he is no questioning his ability.
So him, Jasprit Bumrah, Siraj, and Shardul. Because Shardul has made himself undroppable at this point.
Exactly, 4 of these, and then you've got the 5th option in Hardik
Hardik, yeah.
So you've got 5
won't
guys
go
there.
more than 4.
Yeah.
Umran, the only thing he gives which nobody else will be able to give you is like that genuine pace
yeah.
and those wickets. But the thing is, he's not been successful.
Yeah.
Again, but I'm saying why we look at the T20 series, let's say he has those kind of performances where he came up with those glimpses in the IPL, right?
2022.
Out of nothing, like 4 and things like that. Then I don't know. Then you know what? That's the kind of bowler everyone starts getting excited. How can you not take this guy?
Then you come back to Mahmood.
Not quite there, but yeah.
No idea. Okay.
Biggest question: UCL will get a game or not?
Yeah, I don't think he's not getting a game in this series. Yeah.
Poor Yuzi. But at least this time they're dropping him well before the
either
World
it's poor. See, it's like a pendulum. It either goes to poor.
He is going to go to the World Cup.
It goes from poor Yuzi to poor Kuldeep. It's just a pendulum swing like that.
This time Kuldeep, I should be thanking his lucky stars. He's got an extended run.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'll get 1 game, gets 4 for 5 for a drop.
What if he doesn't have a good T20? Then you find an excuse to
Who?
Yuzi.
He's already not the first choice spinner.
No, but he would have made the squad, na?
Yeah, I think he still makes the.
But if he doesn't have a good T20, you suddenly say, let's take Akshar.
Akshar is a like for Jadeja.
Only backup.
You don't want to.
You're not playing
players, no.
You're not playing them. Only backup.
Yeah, it's not a 17-man squad.
You experimented with him in ODI. That means
at
you're
number
still
4.
thinking about
At number 4.
Who knows? So of course Jadeja and Kuldeep go. You say anyway, it's a backup guy. He'll only come in when someone's not there.
No, I think then Akshar makes the standbys. Not
that.
No.
Yeah.
Standbys. Because again, last year also he was nowhere near the scheme of things.
On usage. Everyone gets a chance. Everyone experiments. Even Akshar Patel, who you're saying is anyway standing.
Mukesh, Rituraj, all going to be playing Asian games. They're getting games in ODIs.
UC is Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli level for them. ये तो है ही.
ज़रूरत ही नहीं है, हमें पता है कैसे करना है.
Imagine how hard done Kuldeep will feel then. He played all these games, taken 7 wickets. World Cup time, sorry, boss.
Acha, again, do you think Arshdeep Singh would be looking at this T20 series saying that, listen, white ball, yeah.
I'm surprised.
I am surprised. Series happened to fast bowlers.
He's in the Asian Games squad, by the way.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I was surprised that he was fitted in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea how he's fallen out of scheme with things.
Yeah.
You know, with Arshdeep, you know why I really feel bad for him? Multiple reasons. One, this is a guy who we were hoping gets called up because he's a good death bowler. You brought him into the Indian team and made him an opening swing bowler. Now you're trying to get him to play longer formats. You've sent him to play county, but you're not taking him in ODIs.
By the way, one thing we've not realized over the last few months is we've got 2 new ball bowlers now in Hardik Pandya and Arshdeep Singh. Hardik in both the formats.
Yeah.
Too many.
You have all the new ball bowlers, but your death overs, you're again hinging on Bumrah and his back. Please stay together.
It'll be an interesting T20 series. As I say never in Indian cricket. They, at the moment with the selection for Ireland, have kind of suggested to all of us that they're looking at T20 separately from ODI. But as I said, when you have a Rahane coming into the test team on the back of T20 and that 2 IPL performances, anything can happen.
Never say never.
It's so precariously poised because that logic applies to a few players who are there in this series and to a few it won't. It won't apply to Ishan, it will apply to Sanju.
As I said yesterday, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. We'd love to know what you guys think. So do drop us a comment. We couldn't take live questions today, so apologies for that because I have a television show to do, so I'm gonna rush quickly for that. But do drop in your comment if you're watching us live or watching us later. Do give us a like and don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today because it's a busy season coming up in the world of sport with the Asian Games as well as Asia Cup and then the Ireland series before that, then the World Cup. So this is going to be a one-stop shop for all things sport. So subscribe, press the bell icon so that you know via notification any latest update. For example, the updates that you've got on the World Cup venue now, which we told you that PCB has agreed. Of course, yesterday the information was that dates have been changed. BCCI have changed the date for India, Pakistan, and Pakistan game with Sri Lanka. But we put a video up where now PCB has agreed, though there is still a few other things that they really need to get. One is the security clearance for which they will have to, just like in India, some clearances are taken from the Home Ministry, they'll have to do it with their Home Ministry. So those meetings are going to be on. We'll keep updating you on Sports Day. For the moment, bye bye, see you.